Tioka's life continued on quietly, yet it was never without its fair share of busyness. That morning, like any other, she took her child to school early. The two of them sat down to have breakfast right in front of the school gate, surrounded by the gentle morning breeze and the cheerful chirping of birds. In that peaceful moment, her heart was filled with a simple yet complete happiness. When she got back home, she took the chance to tidy up the house, then stepped into the yard to finish washing the clothes she hadn't gotten to the night before. While she was busy lifting a laundry basin, she suddenly felt like someone was watching her. She looked up and was startled. It was Hung, the familiar man who had always silently cared for her. Today, he had managed to squeeze in a quick visit before heading back to work. He walked into the yard with a warm smile, his eyes full of tenderness as they rested on her belly, now in the final months of pregnancy. "You should rest more," he said gently, then quickly rolled up his sleeves and offered to help with a few chores. After exchanging a few updates and small talk, the two of them headed to the backyard, where a batch of large, fresh eggs had already been collected and were ready to be taken to the market. They sat down side by side, washing the eggs as they chatted. Their conversation revolved around the usual topics: how the egg prices were today, whether the market would be busy, and if she should bring along a few bunches of vegetables. While wiping the eggs dry, Hung joked, "How about you let me sell the eggs today? I bet I could outsell you." Tioka laughed. "If you did that, people might think you're advertising for my farm." The two of them laughed together, their laughter softening the warmth of the morning sun. Suddenly, his phone rang. Hung glanced at the screen and his expression changed slightly. It was a call from his company. Something urgent had come up and he had to leave right away. He stood up, hesitating for a moment, his eyes lingering on Tioka with visible reluctance. "I have to go now. Maybe I can come by again this weekend." "All right, take care, and thank yous for today." A quiet wave, a tender gaze. Though their time together was brief, both of them felt a deep warmth and care in their hearts. Hung walked out the gate, turned to look back, while she stood there, one hand resting gently on her belly, smiling, a farewell without words. After seeing Hung off, Tioka tidied things up and began preparing for the market. She gently placed the fresh eggs into a basket, carefully arranging each one as if pouring her whole heart into it. The morning market wasn't too crowded, but customers still came steadily. Some were regulars, others were new faces. All complimented her eggs for being fresh and clean. Though she was a little tired, being in the final months of pregnancy, having to sit for long hours and move around a lot, Tioka still felt a quiet joy inside. After selling several baskets of eggs, she found a shaded spot by the roadside and took a short break. A soft breeze passed by, and suddenly her mind wandered back to those early, difficult days when she first began building her little house, the home she had always dreamed of for herself and her child. Back then, she had gone alone to a patch of wild land halfway up a hill where she planned to build her new life. As she arrived, she was stunned by what she saw. Piles of large, beautiful timber neatly stacked on the plot. She froze in surprise, her heart pounding with emotion. It didn't take long for her to realize who had done this: Hung. Just as she had guessed, She later learned that it was indeed Hung who had quietly purchased the timber and had it delivered to the plot of land ahead of time. Not a single word of warning, no need for her to ask or rely on him. He simply understood, always acting like someone who was silently walking beside her, watching over her every step. Sitting beside the pile of timber, Tiu Ka couldn't hold back a smile. She pulled out a knife and began peeling the bark from the logs. Each stroke strong yet precise, every cut clean and straight. Under the scorching summer sun, sweat streamed down her forehead, soaking her back, but she uttered not a single word of complaint. The whole morning passed as she diligently worked. Her small figure stood out in the wide open land, the sunlight casting a glowing shimmer around her. Though the labor was hard, her eyes sparkled with determination. Each stroke of the blade, each piece of bark stripped away, brought her one step closer to the dream of a home filled with warmth, laughter, and the silent presence of a man who had always been there through her hardest days, CEO Hung. As the sun climbed higher and the summer heat grew more intense, Tiu Ka continued tirelessly with the task of stripping bark from the wood. Sweat poured from her brow, soaking her hair and clothes, but she remained focused, pouring her whole heart into every stroke. The dream of a small, peaceful home was slowly taking shape beneath her calloused, steadfast hands. Suddenly, in the distance, a familiar figure appeared, walking quickly along the dirt path leading up the hill. It was Hung. In his hand was a large bag filled with cool drinks and fresh fruit. Work at the company was lighter than usual that day, so he guessed she would be up on the land again. Without hesitation, he stopped by to buy some fruit and a few bottles of chilled coconut water, then rushed over to find her. Tiu Ka looked up, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw him. A sense of relief and calm spread through her chest. She smiled and he let out a quiet sigh, as if just seeing her safe and well was enough to ease all his worries. Under the shade of a tree at the corner of the plot, the two sat down to rest. Hung handed her a bottle of coconut water, then peeled an orange with care and gave it to her himself. His eyes looked at her full of concern, both gentle and serious. "You're already in the last months of pregnancy. Why are you still pushing yourself with heavy work like this? If you keep going like that, how can I possibly feel at ease?" Tiu Ka gave a faint smile, wiping the sweat from her brow. "I just wanted to get a bit done, so the workers can have everything ready to build the house. I'll get someone else to finish the rest." Hung looked at her, his expression softening but still firm. "Did you forget? You already agreed to let me take care of you and the baby, so from now on, leave these things to me. Your job is to rest and stay healthy for both you and the little one. Let me handle everything else." Tiu Ka didn't say a word. She just looked at him quietly for a long moment. A wave of emotion welled up inside her. His words sounded simple, but they touched something deep within her. For years, she had grown used to carrying everything on her own. And now, there was someone willing to share that burden, someone who would brave the heat just so she wouldn't have to. To her, that was a kind of love beyond words. After a short rest, Hung stood up, took the knife in his hand, and resumed the unfinished work. His movements were not yet skilled, but he worked with great care and focus, as if afraid of damaging the precious wood. Tiu Ka sat in the shade, her eyes following his every move. watching the tall man hunched over the pile of timber, his back drenched in sweat. An unfamiliar warmth filled her heart. A deep sense of gratitude and luck spread through her. Lucky that she had found the courage to open her heart, to trust him enough to let him into her life. She stood up and gently walked over to him, holding a small hand fan. While fanning him softly, she said, "Why don't I help you a bit? It'll go faster." But Hung immediately turned around and raised his hand to stop her. "No, go back and rest. Seriously, I've got this. If you overwork yourself now, I'm not going to let it slide later." His voice was half playful, half serious, but firm. Tue Ka laughed, stepped back a few paces, and sat down again on the stone bench. She continued fanning herself gently, eyes still fixed on him. In the golden midday sunlight, surrounded by the serene green hills, there were two people quietly building a home. Not just with timber and sweat, but with love, with shared effort, and unshakable trust. Under the blazing heat of noon, Hung remained fully focused, working diligently to finish the task. Each time he looked up, his gaze would automatically drift to the base of the tree where Tue Ka was resting. He talked to her as he worked, tossing in light-hearted jokes and little stories, hoping to keep her entertained. But this time, no reply came. He paused. Something didn't feel right. "Tue Ka? Can you hear me?" No response. He quickly turned around and his heart dropped. There she was, collapsed on the ground, her body limp, her face pale as paper, sweat pouring down like rain. "Tue Ka!" he shouted, his heart pounding wildly as he rushed to her side, dropping to his knees and pulling her into his arms. His voice trembled, filled with desperation. "Please wake up. Don't scare me like this. Tue Ka, please open your eyes." But she remained silent, completely unresponsive. In that moment, everything around him seemed to come to a standstill. His mind was consumed by a single, overwhelming fear, the fear of losing her. Without hesitation, Hung lifted her up in his arms, using every ounce of strength he had, the strength of a man gripped by panic and love. Sweat soaked through his shirt, but he didn't stop for even a second. His hands held her tightly, and his voice kept calling out, echoing down the quiet, empty road.
Đúng như cô đoán, sau này cô mới biết anh đã âm thầm mua số gỗ ấy rồi cho người chuyển đến khu đất trước. Không một lời báo trước, không cần đợi cô đồng ý hay là nhờ vả anh luôn hiểu và hành động như một người luôn bên cạnh, theo dõi cô từng bước. Ngồi bên đống gỗ, Tiểu Ca không kìm được nụ cười. Cô lấy dao ra, bắt đầu công việc xóc vỏ gỗ, từng đường dao mạnh mẽ nhưng khéo léo, vết nào vết ấy thẳng tắp. Dưới cái nắng gay gắt của mùa hè, mồ hôi lăn dài trên trán cô, thấm ướt cả lưng áo, nhưng cô chẳng than vãn một lời. Buổi sáng trôi qua, Tiểu Ca vẫn cặm cụi với công việc. Thân hình nhỏ bé của cô nổi bật giữa khoảng đất rộng lớn. Ánh nắng chiều xuống phủ lên dưới dáng người ấy một vầng sáng lấp lánh. Dù vất vả nhưng ánh mắt cô vẫn rạng ngời, bởi mỗi nhát dao, mỗi tấm gỗ được xóc sạch vỏ là những bước đi gần đến với giấc mơ về mái ấm, nơi có tình thương, có tiếng cười và cả bóng dáng người đàn ông luôn âm thầm theo dõi, giúp đỡ cô trong những tháng ngày gian khó. Đó chính là Hùng.